Hello and welcome back to Sons of Olympia. I'm Matt.
And I'm George, and we're brothers.
And our parents are Olympians.
Yes, we are the two sons of Olympian parents who have failed to fulfill their genetic potential.
And like all underachieving children, we have decided to start a podcast.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Sons of Olympia, where this week we're going to be talking all about retirement. When to hang up the spikes? Is it worth ever coming back from retirement? And giving you some of our favourite examples of athletes who have made the comeback, who've stepped back in after they've said they were done. So you got all that to look forward to, folks. It's gonna be a good one, I think. But first, brother, how are you? How are things?
Not too bad. I would like to retire and not make a comeback.
How many more years?
Too many. I'm all right. Yes. Well, just come back from a camping trip, in fact.
Okay.
Which camping's one of those things, I think, where on the surface, it's like, why would you do that? It's we work hard to live in homes made of brick and wood.
Pay a lot of money.
Pay a lot of money.
Mortgage.
Exactly. And then we decide to spend our free time under canvas under unpredictable weather conditions with minimal cooking pieces and bad Wi-Fi and
Mum told me a little bit about your dramatic camping weekend.
Dramatic, I would say, is an overreaction.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, but it wasn't the most successful camping trip. Decided we wanted to stay over half an hour away from the home, with Mark, our Canadian friend of the pod,
Canadian
and,
correspondent,
Nicole, family. So it was 4 of us and our toddler. Friday afternoon, did the pack up, which is involved lots of stuff. And you get there, we set up. The child is very excited, with the whole away from the home, outside all the time. She didn't fall asleep till about 11:15 p.m. By the time that she went down, your evening sort of disappearing now. We did sit around by the fire. It was very, very windy though, so we got 0 heat from the fire. 0. Purely for visual. Then woke up, got together some porridge in the tent. Still very windy, not warm, coats on sort of situation. Then we had some pancakes on our cooking equipment, but the pan wasn't great, and it was in the pre-made batter, like in a milk carton.
Okay.
Have you ever had that? You literally pour it in. Didn't really work very well. We got a couple going at the end, but the first ones were a little scrambled. And then the weather turned. We decided, okay, we'll go to a little town, walk around, went to a cafe, fine. You sort of go back to civilization, be like, look at all these people with their, how comfortable it is. We went to a pub for tea. Oh, this is so nice. This is great. And then you get back to the campsite. It's absolute chucking it down. Not great.
No.
Getting close to the toddler's bedtime. You know what it's like. That's going to be another chore. And then you've got nowhere to hang out after. So if she goes to sleep, where are you going to chill for like a few hours because it's
the
chucking
rain
it
was
down?
so bad.
So we made the executive decision for immediate pat down at 7:30.
Oh my gosh, who made the final call?
It was sort of like a board meeting. Talking through the pros and cons. There was one call that we just leave, go home, and just come back the next day to take it all. But it was still going to be raining the next day, so we just thought it's either get it down wet now, get it down wet tomorrow. Anyway, lots of discussion, but we did it. We got it out, and now I've spent today dealing with wet stuff. Not perfect. But we did get a lot of cornholing in on the Saturday morning. Bought a cornhole. If anyone knows what I'm talking about here, I've become a big fan of cornhole from a wedding that I went to a few weeks ago. Incredible game. And they sell them at Decathlon now. I don't know if this is, maybe cornhole's catching on because cornhole was placed right by the checkout, right by it.
Yeah. I like those end of aisles. Like, before you go, have you thought about getting a cornhole? You're like, shove a couple of cornholes in the trolley.
Exactly. But no one is going into the Decathlon going, I've come here specifically for the cornhole.
You did.
No, I didn't. No. Went there for a camping table. Came back with cornhole and 4 beanbags.
Forgot the table.
Damn it. Only came with 4 beanbags though.
Yeah,
I would say
you do need more.
Cornhole requires more bags. I might just buy a bucket of 100 beanbags just for practicing purposes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You had more success because you were under canvas as well this weekend.
I also went camping, Friday night. Very local. Just went basically down the road, 10 minutes away.
That's
Lovely
crazy.
campsite though. And it was mainly because I had to get up early the next morning for a snorkeling course. So didn't want to have to drive too far the next day. But I also had a bit of a muck up, left the pillows at home. So you're like, that's not that great. Maybe we can get by using some clothes or something like that. We do have 2 roll mats, but only one of them inflates, and I was pretty sure of that when I packed them. So of course I have the one that doesn't inflate. So
why would you not take
pillow.
both?
We did, but only one of them inflates. We had them both. So if you had a lovely inflatable one.
Oh, I see.
I slept on basically a deflated plastic bag on the floor, and then got up at the crack of dawn to drive to my snorkeling course. Which was great though. I'm going to get into snorkeling in a big way. I'm looking at all sorts of gear, bigger fins, weight belts to counteract the buoyancy of the wetsuit. This is what the pros all have. Because the wetsuit brings you up to the surface and you can't see the fishies and the crabs, so you have to put weight on your...
But stop me if I'm wrong, you need to be at the surface to breathe.
Of course. But Matty, you do things like duck dives, where you dive down, free diving, if you will, and you explore.
So this is what I mean. I think you're verging into free diving here.
Oh yeah,
you're not.
The lines are blurred.
Are they?
Yeah.
I suppose free diving, just get rid of the actual snorkel. Just go down.
Yeah, but I also like looking for the stuff, and I don't just want to see how deep I can get. I want to get down, and when I'm down there, explore. But I'm going to get into that in a big way. Saw some cool stuff though. Lobsters, spider crabs, big fish, loads of jellyfish at the moment. It's good stuff. When you're down in a couple of weeks, we'll go snorkeling. It'll be class.
I'm more a bog snorkeling guy, you know that. Give me a bog, I'll get down there, but...
I can find a bog. That can be arranged.
Okay. No, that sounds excellent.
Yeah. Enough camping chat. Let's get into the sports. And I thought this week, pause on the sporting news. No sporting news this week. Well, kind of. Instead, we're going to focus on the World Cup, because World Cup, of course, World Cup news. And as you are the football fan, our soccer correspondent, football correspondent.
Yeah, we understand.
You're kind of a correspondent.
I like the football.
Yes. Okay, so got 3 bits of news all around the World Cup, and I want to get your thoughts on these.
Yeah.
To me, what do I know? So, the first one is involving this American player. Forgive me if I'm saying the name wrong. Following Balogun.
Yes.
Anyway, I think he's a player for the US team, doing quite well in the tournament so far, scored 3 goals, but in his last game got shown a red card, which normally means then you get a ban from the next game, which in this stage of the tournament is a big deal. However, FIFA have said, nah, not this time. You know what? Just take that ban another time, and you can play in their next game against Belgium, which is going to be, I believe, late on Monday night. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
It's not great, is it? He's one of their best players, and the tournament's been hosted in the US. There's been a conversation, I reckon. Donald or someone in the White House has called up FIFA, what's the guy, President Infantino or something, and gone, do us a favour here. You're on. We'll lock you up. You're not leaving this country.
Do your best Trump impression.
Yeah, but here's a couple of mil and let's be done with this.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising. I would say it's not the first time FIFA have, there's been weird decisions all over the place. There's corruption going through the veins of that organisation, as we've said before, with many things. Messi did a very similar tackle and got absolutely nothing for it. So the tackle in itself that he got sent off for, It's probably a harsh read anyway. But the rules are the rules unless you're Donald Trump or you're Messi, I reckon. So yeah, not great, but also not to be unexpected. I think the bar is so low for FIFA now.
Interesting. Another big headline, I reckon, in the World Cup this week was this decision by VAR to disallow Croatia's goal in stoppage time, which would have equalised them against Portugal.
Yeah.
And it's apparently this technology in the ball that sensed that there had been minor contact by a player's hair, even though the ball apparently didn't change direction, didn't change its spin. It was minimal, and they're saying because he made contact with the ball, therefore it was offside when it went to the player who scored.
I think the question here is, do we like that technology being brought into football? Because it exists in cricket. If you're, it's the snickometer or this snicko, has a player in cricket, has the ball touch the bat before the wicket keeper's caught it. They check it, they see the, and it's like, it's part of that game now. Do we want this part of football? I personally, I think if you can't see it with the naked eye, just get rid of it. Because you got to check this, you got to check that, you got to check something else. Oh my God!
And it just takes away football. Like I watched the last England game in the pub, and it's class, right? You all cheering the goal. That's what you're waiting for. That moment where you're like, goal. That's what it's all like. Yeah. And so then to have that moment, they'll be like, oh, hang on. They're going to go check the VAR. They're going to go check the ball sensor. They're all the blah. You lose that impact of the moment, and I think that sucks. And it just seems to have been loads of that this World Cup. Loads of goals being disallowed.
I actually think that the only technology in football that should be allowed is goal line technology. Just
even offside.
Well, we have the linesman. I would like to know how much VAR has actually improved football, because there's still been loads of mistakes with VAR. So I'd like to just go back to just let us know if it's definitely a goal, because that's important. The rest, let the officials do it.
Yeah. It should be if there's a doubt. Do you know what I mean? Let's check it. Not just check it all the time. I don't know.
But the doubt then has doubt, and then there's some stuff that's there's too much opinion, subjective nature of stuff. It
would be interesting to see if when they're making all these decisions in America, if they're squeezing a couple more ads in.
God.
And then that's no good, is it? Why they check the goal? Have you thought about getting a KFC bargain bucket? Anyway, last World Cup news was this. So we're recording this Sunday night, going out on Tuesday. That's important to bear in mind. England have not played against Mexico yet, but Mexico fans have been gathering outside the hotel that England are sleeping in, playing loud music, blasting air horns, setting off fireworks in an attempt to keep England players from sleeping ahead of the game. Thoughts on this? Is this just a good bit of banter from the Mexico fans, or is this ruining the beautiful game? Is this going a bit too far?
I mean, I think I kind of love it. If they're playing some nice, they're banging the drums and having a good time and partying, I think that's quite funny. If they're throwing rocks at windows, breaking stuff in the hotel, air horns, the vuvuzelas are coming back.
It is. I think they are doing that horns. I think it's
not great. It's not great, but it's
great.
Good. It's a funny story, isn't it?
And if it was England fans outside a hotel, I think the headlines would probably be a bit different. Bloody hooligans, and England fans outside hotels, that's not the...
Yeah, but I don't think England fans would be playing drum. There wouldn't be a brass band outside. There wouldn't be nice stuff, would it? It'd be petrol bombs and cans of Carlin going.
But I think it is fun, but I do think maybe it's verging
close
on
to the line.
It's close. It's on the line, maybe. Let us know, viewers, what you think about that.
Yes.
Let's talk England game then. Ties nicely into that. Are you going to be watching it? Because kickoff is at 1 a.m. on Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah. I mean, two schools of thought on this, to be honest. I mean, there are two obvious schools of thought, aren't they? You stay up or you don't.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm leaning towards complete phone blackout. Turn it off. Don't have any contact with the outside world. Go to bed as what I normally would. Go and watch at 7 a.m. on BBC 2, I think it is, and it's live coverage as if it's never happened.
Okay.
So, make a party of it. Get some croissants in the oven. Get a nice cup of coffee going. Maybe use the rest of that pancake mixture we never used. Go with a completely new experience.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a Mexican breakfast.
I'll tell you what, it will be very difficult to avoid that news unless your phone is on airplane mode and you do not look at it, because you'll get an announcement.
I'm thinking turn it off completely.
Yeah, okay.
But the one thing that could let me down is I live in terraced housing. Could quite easily be woken up at some cheers, maybe. So I could either get earplugs. I could go earplugs.
You have to think about these things, don't you?
Or do I just go to bed a little bit earlier, wake up and accept a rough sort of 3 days basically as I recover? What are you doing?
I don't know. See, I've got a couple of like boy mates now down in my new town. Did watch the football. Did watch the football with a couple last game. It was good fun. But no one's invited me to the pub at 1 a.m. Not sure if I would do that anyway. So I don't know. Text might come in.
You could just watch it on TV, but you wouldn't do that.
But it's just
you want the occasion.
I think it's the occasion, or I'll just watch it in the morning personally.
Yeah. But would you? You don't want to know the score though, surely?
No. I'll do what you do. Turn the phone off. But having tried to avoid basketball scores that are played frequently in the early morning, you'll be amazed at how easily it is ruined. Just like a notification right there. Or sometimes you go on like BBC to watch and like the thumbnail will be 2-1 England. And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm coming to watch the game here. Don't put the score. YouTube's bad as well. If you try to watch something on YouTube.
Yeah.
There.
England get battered.
Yes.
By the Mexican cartel. Damn it.
I didn't get a wink of sleep, said Harry Kane. The altitude was terrible. Yeah. Interesting.
So undecided. I think I'm more heading towards nice coffee morning.
Yeah. Much more reasonable, I think. Of course, when this goes out, it'll all be over. We'll know.
I know, so better not talk it too much because everyone will be, okay, this is old news, fellas.
Yeah.
Leave it out.
All right, let's get into the main topic of today's episode, retirement. And is it ever a good idea to come back, for an athlete to come back from retirement into the sporting world? And you came up with this idea for an episode, Matt, after some tennis news.
Yeah, tennis news. So Wimbledon's happening at the moment, if you've not seen that amongst all the World Cup coverage. And Serena Williams is back, which is big news. She didn't last very long. Spoiler, she went out in the first round. But it was quite interesting. So she returned at Queen's, which is sort of the grass court tournament, the warm-up for Wimbledon. She played there and she won one game, I think, and then she played doubles as well. So everyone was very excited for her to come back for Wimbledon, and she was going to play singles and she was going to play doubles with her sister Venus, who is a little bit older. I think she's 2 years older than Serena. So Venus is doing very well. But Serena was going to say, I'm going to come back and have a crack at singles again. So Serena first retired in 2022. US Open 2022. That's quite a long time ago, 4 years ago. She's had a second child in that gap. She's now 44 and wants to make a comeback. And just remind you of Serena Williams' success here. She retired in 2022 with 23 Grand Slams, 14 doubles Grand Slams. I didn't realize she won so many.
Yes.
All of those with her sister, Venus.
Wow.
4 Olympic golds, 1 in singles and 3 in doubles with Venus. So she is no doubt the GOAT.
Yeah.
The GOAT. There is literally no reason for her to come back other than maybe to get a 4th Grand Slam title, which would put her sort of out and out the most Grand Slams ever. But realistically, she's not going to get that. And she said, it's not about winning on this second comeback, sort of second journey in her career. But anyway, I watched her first match. Firstly, she got centre court at Wimbledon, came back as a wild card, so she didn't have to do any of the qualifying. She hadn't played a competitive match since 2022 and immediately gets parachuted into centre court, and which I'm probably okay with. I'm probably okay with that. She was playing someone called Maya Joint from Australia, I think she is. What's crazy, she's 20 years old. She was born in 2006, okay? Serena Williams won her first major in 1999. Maya Joint wouldn't be born for another 7 years.
Wow.
What?
That's crazy.
What? What? That's so mental.
Yeah.
24-year age gap between the two, and they can still, I mean, it is bonkers. But I thought from watching it, it was quite clear that Serena is obviously nowhere near the standard she once was. She had glimpses of like big, powerful moments, but Maya Joint is the world number 87, and she beat her.
Yeah.
Poor Maya Joint, she looked so nervous though, so nervous, and she could barely speak. Do you know when they do the interviews after on the court? That's tough. 20 years old and having to play Serena Williams, the best to ever do it, and then beat her.
Yeah.
Very brave. But this sparked the conversation, is like, is this worth it for Serena Williams? You know,
it's very difficult, isn't it? Because I think for an athlete, especially someone who's dominated at that level for so long, you know nothing else other than competition. Do you know what I mean? It must be so strange to then leave that and not have something in your life to fill this huge void. You'll be asking all sorts of questions, like, who am I without tennis? Who am I if I'm not like the best tennis player in the world? It must be really difficult. And then women must get this all the time when they have to step away from their sport to have kids. That's like, you have to have a mini retirement, don't you? To like, whereas men can just keep going. And it must be so hard to have even just that time off, let alone 4 years to like of not doing the training, of not being in tournaments all the time. I can imagine with tennis, it must be really difficult to come back, because everyone you're playing against is either brand new to the sport and is now amazing, or have just like not taken 4 years off. So
I think she said that she wanted to come back because she's just so competitive and she's really missed that element of it, competition. But I think there's risks in this, just a general coming back from retirement, because you risk like tainting your legacy. Will people remember you for just someone who's like hanging on? And she'll get entries into these tournaments, and if she keeps going out in the first round, is that really what she wants? That really are like you want the last few years to be remembered? It's dangerous. She got injured. She can no longer do the doubles with her sister because she's hurt her knee.
Oh God!
So she's injured her knee.
I think that's when, if you're like that good and you've made the decision to leave and 4 years have gone by, I think you should not come back, because like, you know what are you going to achieve that you haven't already, and you just have to look for that competitive angle in some other area of your life. She could try and take up anything, and it would be like, people would be interested in Serena Williams playing darts or something. And
here, just in, Sons of Olympia, George says Serena should take up darts.
But do you know what I mean? Just like be competitive at something else that doesn't have this insane pressure on. Yeah. But we'll have some other stories of people that have come back and it's gone well, and come back and it hasn't gone well. And it just must be really hard to admit that you have retired and that it's over. That's why I think you have to think long and hard about it. And then I think once you've made the decision.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
And also this has ruffled some feathers in the tennis world because of the whole, she's just bypassing the system because she's Serena Williams. And there's a doubles coach, quite well-renowned doubles coach called Calvin Betton, who said some stuff about this. There's a quote here, which is, he's not a massive fan, as you'll probably understand here. He said, "She's not a serious tennis player. It feels promotional." So his point is, he says, what if one of the tournaments now says they would love to have Roger Federer playing and are willing to pay him millions to appear? What if another tournament does the same with Nadal? It could get silly. This is my biggest problem with it. We keep hearing that she wants to come back and win, but she doesn't want to win enough to stay around. So his point here is that she's just going to do Wimbledon, US Open, like cherry pick the events because she's not going to want to participate in the tour that all the others do. And he's put, and this is the problem. She's not a serious tennis professional, and we're giving them wild cards into things like Wimbledon, US Open.
Surely
taking chances away from others.
I can see that being a problem, like taking it away from a young athlete who's earned a spot in the tournament. I can see that being a thing. But surely, like, once you've announced that you're coming back from retirement, you can't keep getting these just like free passes. Surely, if you're back, then you have to be in the
tricky,
system.
Well, I mean, Wimbledon will sell out centre court, whatever, but people are going to tune into a Serena Williams game, aren't they? That's the thing.
Yeah, and I don't think I have a problem with like the star power. Do you know what I mean? Like if Federer did want to come back, he's earned the right to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like he's maybe once. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'm not sure how long. I wonder how long this is going to last.
Yeah,
until she goes, this is a bad idea. I mean, she's injured, so who knows what that means. But anyway,
plays
so
out. If she stays
this
injured,
one's a TBC, I would say.
Yes,
TBC.
for sure. Yeah.
Is it worth it or not? At the moment, it's not looking great.
No. Well, we wish her a speedy recovery. And if she ever wants to come on Sons of Olympia, Serena.
She's welcome. Absolutely.
Moving on to, I think, what's probably the greatest story of, or most famous example of an athlete coming back from retirement, which is Michael Jordan, who, of course, potentially the greatest basketball player of all time. He has this great example of he won the NBA championships 3 years in a row, the 90 to 91 season, 92, 93 with the Chicago Bulls, and then in 93 announced a shock decision that he was retiring from basketball and he was going to pursue professional baseball. This was all tied up around a very difficult time for him where his dad was actually tragically murdered. He was in a car and some teenagers, I think, tried to carjack him, steal the car, and he was in it asleep. I don't think they realized that he was in there. Resulted in him getting shot. And it was a car that Michael Jordan had actually bought for his dad. So I'm sure this was all tied up in it. His dad had this like lifelong dream of playing professional baseball. So I think Michael Jordan was like, my dad's just murdered. He had this dream of playing baseball. I'm going to give it a go. So he stepped away from basketball, and that's retirement. The baseball thing didn't go very well, as we see in the greatest film of all time, Space Jam. And then after he missed the 94-95 season, he says, I'm coming back. And in fact, he sent a fax to the Chicago Bulls. You can tell how of the time it was, a fax. Just said 2 words on it, I'm back. So obviously the Bulls were very excited by this. And then he went on to win the championships 3 more years in a row. So another 3-peat after retiring, which is pretty crazy. So I think that is probably maybe the best example of an athlete retiring. But it wasn't just like he retired because of old age. He retired in the peak of his powers.
That's it. He wasn't 30 or something.
Yeah.
I didn't realise, really, because we watched Space Jam, too much Space Jam chat on this podcast, I think. We over-index in Space Jam chat. But I think I just thought it was just a story for Space Jam.
Yeah. Definitely when I was little.
That's crazy that he just went from basketball and was like, I'm now going to be professional baseball. Firstly, it makes a mockery of professional baseball, doesn't it? Which it alludes to in Space Jam.
It does.
And then he can just come back and just pick up where he left off.
Yeah.
No bother.
And
how many years out was he in baseball?
Just like, I think he took like 17 months off or something. So he just missed like 1 season, 1 complete season. And I'm not sure. I think he did get, in Space Jam, they make out like he was given a shot in like a proper team, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's star power. But I've not actually played baseball before, but you're in the roster.
That's like Usain Bolt always used to talk about if, when I can't sprint anymore, I'll play for Man United. That's literally like Man United being like, yeah, sure, come on in. But actually, Usain Bolt, this reminds me, he did start playing like with professional teams. He played with Borussia Dortmund's training team. Like he was
serious about it.
He was going for it. I just don't think he was that good. Maybe he's something to do with Michael Jordan. That's crazy.
Yeah, but then Michael Jordan, so that's his big, most famous retirement, but he wasn't done then. So after his second three-peat with the Chicago Bulls, the team ran into difficulties with the front office. Their head coach at the time, Phil Jackson, who was a legendary coach who had coached him this whole time, his contract was expiring. And then I think like the manager was like, oh, we're not going to keep Phil Jackson on. So that upset a lot of people. Scottie Pippen, who was his second in command, his number two, he was asking for a trade. Dennis Rodman was also leaving. So the Bulls dynasty was collapsing. It was over. And then in 1998, there was like the NBA lockout due to some like labor stuff, rules, disputes, stuff. So it was a shorter season. And I think that all together, Michael Jordan was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm retiring again in 1998. And he said at the time, I'm 99.9% sure that I'll never play in the NBA again. However, 2 years later, another fax. No, he didn't. He decided that he's going to come back. And in 2001, he signed with the Washington Wizards and played with them from 2001 to 2003. So he's 38 and 39 at this point. So past his prime, but still averaged 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He's not playing badly. He's obviously still getting time, but never made it to the playoffs. All the seasons that he played with the Washington Wizards. And I think people see that as a little bit of a blotch, perhaps, on his career. Maybe he should have just left it with the Bulls. So if we're asking, should he have come back after retirement the first time? Yes, because he went on to win it 3 more times. Second time, I would still probably say yes. I mean, he still obviously could play at that level. And I'm sure it did great stuff for the NBA and fans. And I'm sure the Washington Wizards were very happy to secure Michael Jordan. But it has left a little bit of a question.
It's like, I think for someone as like Michael Jordan's level, it's kind of like that second comeback, he was still probably the star player of Washington Wizards. Still very good enough, but he's not like Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. But he's like perfectly good enough to be in the NBA. There's no star, he's star power, but he's so it's like, can he only return it's like, do you have to be at the top to dip out? Do you know what I mean? Can you just slide down and then start losing a bit more, or is it best just to leave at the very pinnacle, at the peak of your powers? No. You know, do you have one more, I don't know, because there's a famous quote by Jamie Carragher. Not a massive fan of Jamie Carragher, but he says, he was talking about a footballer called Casemiro when Man United were having a very bad time. He and this older player, I think he was like 32, something like that. And he said, leave football before the football leaves you. And it's, saying leave before your actual abilities just disappear from you. But I don't think that was the case with Michael Jordan. I don't think in that second thing. The basketball hadn't left him.
No. It is interesting, isn't it? Because I guess you still want to play and have a full career. And I'm sure for athletes, it's like all they've known if they've got into it. Or I'm sure when Michael Jordan got into it. So it must be strange to think about, what am I going to do afterwards? And it must be difficult for athletes when you're not doing as well, or the goals aren't coming, or you're not getting as far in tournaments, but you're still in it. You're still do you know what I mean? You wouldn't tell a younger athlete who would get to the same level, I'll just quit because you're not gonna win. It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's probably the best ever comeback story there will ever be. I don't think there is a better one than Michael Jordan.
Okay, slight technical difficulties there, folks.
Well, it's not really a technical difficulty. Your laptop just turned off because you had no charge.
Yeah. It was plugged in, though. It was plugged in. Gosh, I swear. The highs and lows of making a podcast. Good
anyway,
grief. Where were we?
Retired, and what a comeback this is.
Hopefully. Okay, so we were just finishing Michael Jordan.
Best comeback story ever. I don't think that will be topped, in my opinion. Or will it?
Do you
want me to talk about another epic comeback?
Give us another one. One.
Do you know George Foreman?
Of George Foreman Grills.
Oh, that's the guy. The lean, mean, let me get this right.
Fighting machine.
Lean, mean, fat reducing grilling machine.
Oh, George.
Yeah, but George isn't just about grills. He is heavyweight boxer, an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So he fought in the 60s, in the 70s, and into the 80s, in fact. Yeah, because his journey is quite something. So heavyweight boxer, came Olympic champion in 1968. He won Olympic gold. And in 1973, he became the undisputed heavyweight champion. He beat Joe Frazier in an epic fight. He knocked Frazier, who was undefeated before then. George Foreman went into that as the underdog, knocked Frazier down 6 times in the first 2 rounds. But absolute epic match. So George Foreman then, with this ultimate heavyweight, had the title, and then he faced Muhammad Ali in 1974, the next year, at the famous Rumble in the Jungle fight, which was famously in the DR Congo, a fight in Africa, which rarely happens. Actually, you never really see these major fights in Africa. But he lost that. Muhammad Ali was not the favourite for that fight, and but famously beat George Foreman with his rope-a-dope style. So basically, rope-a-dope was like he would just use his speed, and have you seen the footage of Muhammad Ali just ducking?
Yeah,
when he's on the rope, just ducking all the punches, and his tactic there was to wear George Foreman out. George Foreman's this massive guy, and get him throwing punches, and as he would just miss, tire him out, and then strike when the big man's tired. Worked. Muhammad Ali became world champion. That wasn't the end for George Foreman, though. He carried on fighting, still elite boxer, but retired 3 years later in 1977, still at the peak of his powers, really, after he lost to a guy called Jimmy Young. This is where it gets interesting, George, because he retired. He lost that fight, 12-round blooded match, absolute bloodbath, just slogging out, and he had a spiritual awakening, a religious moment in the locker room, in the changing room. Post fight, he's blooded, he's exhausted, he's tired, passes out basically, and he has this experience where he's falling into some sort of like void, and he describes it as absolute nothingness and despair.
God.
And he's trapped in this void. He can't escape. And Foreman says he can remember his sort of wealth and his achievements being reviewed by someone, and all his wealth, all his property that he'd bought, and that it was all like someone was making fun of it. They were all like saying how it means nothing. All he wanted was George Foreman's body. Crazy. Until a massive set of hands pull him out of the abyss. So basically he was entering hell until something pulled him out, this big pair of hands, and thrust him back into his physical body.
Oh my God.
And at which point he revives, comes back round, and he sees blood in his hands, on his forehead, and he thinks he's seen like this representation of Jesus on the cross, of him. This is Jesus in his body, sort of thing.
Oh my goodness.
And then he runs into the shower, has cold water, and he goes, "Hallelujah, I've been born again. Jesus is alive." And it's reported he spontaneously starts speaking in tongues. It's mental. So his team are like, he's gone, brain damage. He's completely gone.
Sure.
And they take him to hospital. He has all the checks, and apparently he's okay, recovers in hospital. But he's had such a spiritual moment that he goes, "That's it for me. I've found God.
Wow.
I'm retiring." And he becomes an ordained priest, a man of the church.
Oh my goodness.
So for the next 10 years, just dedicates his life to God. Until 10 years later, in 1987, he's like, "I'm coming back." At the age of 45 to box.
Oh my God.
And the reasons for this is basically his church organization ran out of money. So he's kind of got to go back in to earn some coin. But it's crazy. He made his way back and became world champion again. He became the oldest world champion ever at 45, beating Michael Moria in 1994. Lots of dates here. I'm hoping I'm getting it all right. But eventually he retired in 1997 at the age of 48.
Wow, Christ.
Crazy.
I thought though he was going to have a realization about the grill in the void. And then a big metal
There's a gap in the market.
Came out, picked me up like a sausage.
There's too much fat in the meats we grill. We should find a lean, mean, fat-reducing machine. But he made so much more money off his George Foreman grills than he ever did from his boxing career. At one point in 1999, he was making 60% off the profits from the grill, which was estimated about $8 million a month in just commish from the grills.
Fantastic.
It was eventually bought out in 1999, so they wanted to get rid of George Foreman, but like keep the name. So they bought his rights and his face and everything around it for $113.7 million.
Wow.
So they had to stop. So they could stop paying him all this cash like monthly.
That's mad.
So he's earned more than $200 million from his fat reducing machine.
Wow. I think that might be a more impressive comeback, because to still get your head punched in at 48 or whatever is nuts.
Yes.
Is he still with us, George Foreman?
He's sadly died. I think he died a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But I was thinking this is literally a movie script.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So I looked it up, and there's a Netflix George Foreman film that has not long been out.
Okay.
So I'm gonna watch it, because if this is the script, this is the storyline, guys. I want to see George Foreman speaking in tongues.
It reminded me, I saw a clip the other week of a UFC fight. I forget his name. I think it was like Justin something. I don't know. Anyway, he was telling the story about how he had a fight, got brutally knocked down in the ring, loses the fight, comes round, he's there like with it, the guy like holds up the other guy's hand, and he's like claps, and he like gets taken backstage, and they give him the check, and they're like, right, 'cause she did get knocked out quite bad, we're gonna just like call you an ambulance. I think they do that for most fighters, right? They take him to the hospital anyway afterwards, and he gets taken.
That's mental in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. And he's in the ambulance, get into the hospital, and they start asking him questions like, who's the president, blah 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 blah, and he's answering all these questions, and apparently one of the questions is something, and then he's like, hang on, what? And he like comes back. He comes back from, gains consciousness in the taxi. He's been walking around, doing interviews, and then he's like, and he's like, what happened? And he was like, you're in the ambulance, you lost the fight. And he's like, and he had been like out
somewhere else.
Yeah, but he had been functioning. Yeah. And I was like, the damage you're doing to your brain, and also crazy that can happen. That he was just like,
what is going on there? What is going on?
Understand.
That's like, they say when like things get their head chopped off, they're still doing stuff. It's like, are we just? Yeah. What is going on inside us?
Who knows? I've got one more, I reckon. Maybe a short one after, because when you think maybe of someone who's been saying, I'm retired, no, I'm coming back. I'm retired, no, I'm coming back. You might think of Tyson Fury, who I was going to mention in our last episode about media controversy, because he's had a fair bit of that, saying the wrong things, but we won't get into that this week. But he's flip-flopped many times in his athletic career. The first was all the way back in 2013, when he said, I'm retiring, because he was just annoyed with like cancelled fights, but he then came back the year after. So that retirement didn't last very long. In October 2016, he retired, and he said, I'm stepping away for mental health. And he said that he was abusing substances. And so that I think felt a bit more of a proper retirement. He's had stuff going on. It's not for him. But that only lasted a couple of years, and he was back in the ring in 2018. Apparently in that gap as well, he just also tweeted something or saying the end, which sort of hinted that he wasn't coming back still. But no, he was coming back up. Came back in 2018. In 2022, he said that he's hanging up his gloves after knocking out Dylan White at Wembley, but unretired 6 months later to fight Derek Chisora. So I don't know how many back and forths this has been now, loads. In one of these, I think it was this 2022 one, he said that he wouldn't come back even for $1 billion. I think I moaned about this previously on the podcast. He said, like, not even for £1 billion will I ever come back. And he said, like, because he values his health and his brain and he wants to be there for his kids and his wife and everything. But obviously, there was a price and he's back.
And then $1 billion.
Yeah. And then in 2025, he stepped away again after his defeats to Alexander Usyk, but he's now back, right? And he's fought again, and he's maybe fighting Anthony Joshua soon. So, mate, what's going on there? I mean,
he makes a mockery of the whole system. He's the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
When it actually comes to retire for good, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Just
in that he has, I think, damaged his legacy big time with all this stuff. And again, just with boxing, how you can like pick and choose who you're going to fight and if you're going to fight him and all this. It's just
I think retiring and then coming back. It's the whole I'll come back for one more fight. Yeah. Do what the one more fight everyone wants just is the Anthony Joshua fight. Yeah. And now people are like, I do even want that. I'm just sick of it. And the fact that he's having to sort of get a headline without retirement to say something even more audacious than the last thing. I wouldn't come back even for $1 billion. He's like, okay, the media better write about that. Then he said something a bit crazy, and then take on the moral high ground with his health, and that he wants to spend time with his family, and then he comes back and it's like, I thought you wanted to
pick a lane.
Spend some time with your family.
Yeah. And I mean, the Fury family are all just a joke, to be fair. I think I can't stand the dad. Every time I see that man, I have to like put the phone down.
Put the phone down.
Oh, I'm not FaceTiming him. You again, John Fury. Stop calling me.
Oh, I'm just going to hang up.
Yeah. Oh, he just winds me up so bad. He's literally just, I guess it's a character, but he's just being like thug who just like punches everything and everything. And
definitely.
And then one other retirement story. We're going to go across the pond to American football, where Tom Brady, who I don't know much about American football, I think people might say he's the GOAT. He in 2022 he announced his retirement after playing 2 seasons for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he was saying he's had a good career, hanging up the helmet.
Gloves. They have little gloves.
Little catching gloves. But then he reversed that decision just 40 days later to play one more season. 40 days.
That's just a typo, isn't it? He's like, ooh.
But like, you just got to think about it, don't you?
Yeah.
If you can change, such a big decision that you can change your mind of 40 days later.
After a month.
Yeah.
More or less.
You got to sit with it a bit longer than that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think this sort of happens more with your Olympic athletes, I would say. Do you know, they just, you do, and it's 4 years after you've done one, might seem like such a long time. Yeah. I feel like, Adam Peaty's been dabbling with the idea of retiring and then he comes back. I don't think he ever officially said he was retired, but he was always like, I think I fell out of love with it. I think I might quit. Then Phelps retired after London 2012, actually said he was going to.
Wow.
Came back to Rio, won a load of golds.
Who's the gymnast who's coming back?
Max Whitlock. Yeah.
I think, again, Simone Biles, I don't think she said she's retiring, but I don't think she's said for sure whether she's going to be in LA. Yeah. I guess with the Olympics, right, that 4-year window, you don't really have to say anything and you've got a couple of years to like decide maybe whether you're going to go for the next one again.
Yeah. And then it comes back to like maybe 2 years out and you're like, do I want to dive into this again?
Yeah.
Am I still good enough? Yeah. I will say actually that there's been another famous retirement that's happened this week. Chris Froome retired, and I do not think he's going to be making a comeback, though. I think he is Romeo done. It's over for Chris Froome. Yeah. He's retired with 4 Tour de France's, 2 Vuelta a Españas, 1 Giro. So he's won all the 3 Grand Tours, 2 Olympic bronzes. He's not too bad, but he's had a rough few years.
Chris Froome, has he been competing? Has he been
from the peaks of his powers when he was dominating the Tour de France? He's had 2 absolutely horrific crashes. So he left Team Sky and then he moved to Team Israel Startup, so not as big a team, which has had their own problems with that sort of name, as you can imagine. But he had a big crash in 2019 and then an even bigger one last year. First one, he hit a wall at high speed, fractured his femur, his elbow, his hip, fractured his neck and ribs. So he was in intensive care for quite a long time.
Oh, my God.
And at that point, it was almost like, mate, I think...
Yeah, you can't be doing that as you get older, can you?
As you get older. But he came back. He never sort of was at the top end of the team. But he's obviously just loves it and wants to just keep going until like he literally can't.
Yeah.
Then last summer, he had another crash into a speed sign. So these are crashes that are just going into like, fixed obstacles.
Oh, God.
Not moving in a peloton or something. So in this one, broken back and ribs, collapsed lung, and a life-threatening, well, all of those are pretty life-threatening, but he had a pericardial rupture of his heart, which is some sort of sac that is surrounding your heart, tearing that. So, and still even then, he wasn't like, this is the end. He refused. But I think he's not been on a bike since then. So I think now he's like,
God,
he's not raced since then. So I think now he's gone, this is actually the end. So shout out to Froomey, holding on to the very last.
God, I didn't
dodging
know about those.
Death in 2 major crashes. Enjoy your retirement, mate. You've earned it.
Yeah. Enjoy the golf.
If you can even do that now.
Oh, no.
I'd love to see just an X-ray of his body.
Oh, God.
I bet there's so many bolts and plates.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Makes you feel a bit sick.
Yes.
Oh, well.
So anyway, I would say, in summary, should you come back from retirement? Maybe if you're George Foreman. Or Michael Jordan. Otherwise, I think if you're retiring because of old age, think about it very, very carefully. Maybe.
Yeah.
But if you like it.
Can you imagine the headlines if it worked?
Yeah. Anyway, the jury's out.
Yeah. It's certainly an interesting topic for sure. Before we finish, predictions for the England game?
I think we're absolutely going to batter them. I'm going to say 3-1. Everyone's
Really?
like, the altitude, the banging outside their hotels. Even the England team are saying we're underdogs. No, we are not. On paper, we have superstars. Raul Jimenez. We're Wolves fans. Raul Jimenez, Wolves legend. He's coming back to Wolves. We'll be playing in the Championship next year. So that's their Mexico striker. Wolves Championship. We've got the best striker in the world, Harry Kane. Come on, we should batter them. I'm going to leave it at that because everyone's going to be listening to this on Tuesday
when it's still fresh. No, I believe I'm going to say 2-0 to England. All right, nice one, Matt. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, pleasure. If you like it, rate us on your pod channels.
Follow, subscribe, press the buttons, folks. Share it around.
Go on.
And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you. Bye-bye now.
Nice one, bye.
See you, George. Bye-bye.